All right, let's start with one of the simplest and honestly one of the strangest little rituals in all of physics. It all begins with something you can do right now, with about a billion tiny, thoughtless little things.
Go on, pour some sand. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter how carefully you do it. Doesn't matter if you're a physicist, a 4-year-old, or heck, even a particularly motivated pigeon. The result is always the same.
A cone, a little mountain, this perfect, predictable shape just rises up out of nowhere, almost like it's following some deep cosmic law.
And this right here is where it gets really interesting. This is the part that should kind of bother you just a little bit, because nobody told it to do that. So, why? Why does this happen? How does a huge collection of tiny, mindless things create something so orderly, so consistently, without any instructions at all? That's the mystery we're going to unpack today. To really get this, we have to appreciate the architect we're talking about, or more accurately, the total lack of one. We're talking about the grain of sand itself. And look, I mean this in the nicest way possible. Every single grain of sand is extraordinarily stupid. It has no brain, no ambitions, no vision board for its future. It's just a tiny rock. And yet, when you pour a billion of them together, they build a perfect cone with zero discussion, zero planning. So what's the secret here? How in the world does this work? Well, the answer has a fantastic name, and it gets right to the science of the pile. Physicists call this the angle of repose. And what's so amazing is just how simple the rule behind it all is. It's one of those quiet little miracles that's just kind of embedded in your average Tuesday afternoon. So here's the secret. Each and every grain follows one unbelievably simple algorithm. It slides down the pile until friction and gravity basically call a truce, and then it stops. That is it. Slide until you can't. Stop. No grain knows what the final pile is supposed to look like. No grain got briefed on the shape. It just follows that one simple rule. And every material has its own special angle. For sand, it's 34 degrees. For sugar, 35. Flour, a much steeper 45 degrees. And you can't make the pile any steeper, no matter how carefully you pour. You can't negotiate with it. Physics has already made up its mind. And hey, here's a fun little aside. This is exactly why sandcastles exist. Wet sand can hold a steeper angle because of that extra grip. A slightly damp grain, a tiny bit more friction, and that's the physics behind an entire childhood memory of building something awesome on a beach. But okay, this is where it gets a little uncomfortable. This is the moment we have to zoom out. Because that sand pile, well, it was just the beginning. This entire time, we haven't really been talking about sand at all, have we? We've been talking about a fundamental principle of the entire universe. Seriously, think about it. Ant colonies. No single ant is the boss. Yet this complex city just appears. Real cities, like Tokyo or Cairo, no one designed their overall shape, yet a massive metropolis with its own logic and rhythm just showed up. Markets. Nobody runs the global economy, yet a system emerges from billions of individual choices. And then, well, then there is you. Inside your head right now are billions of neurons. Each one is just doing its thing, firing or not firing. It's running its own tiny little version of slide until you can't, then stop. No single neuron is conscious. No single neuron is you. And yet, here you are, watching this, having feelings about it. There is a single, powerful word for this whole phenomenon, a word that describes how everything from a pile of sand to your own consciousness can even exist. The word is emergence. It's order that nobody ordered. It's structure that no one structured. It's meaning that somehow crawled out of meaninglessness, looked around and said, oh, so this is what we're doing now. And the universe is just ridiculously good at this. Hydrogen collapses, and boom, stars appear. Stars explode, scattering carbon everywhere. Carbon finds some water, and a few billion years later, something is calling itself sentient. No grand plan, no architect, just the same simple rule applied a trillion times over. And that brings this huge cosmic principle right back down to a very, very personal level, right back to you. You know, every grain of sand just wanted to stop falling. And they accidentally built this incredible monument. Which brings us to the real question. What are you accidentally building? With every small decision you make, every lazy morning, every conversation you almost didn't have, because you are not the architect of your life. You never were.
You're just a grain. You're just making one small choice at a time.
And each choice is its own tiny movement, sliding until you can't, and then stopping. It's the same simple algorithm that governs the sand, and the ants, and the stars. And from all of those small, individual moments, something is emerging. The beautiful, complex, totally unplanned shape of your life. You won't get to see the final structure until it's all done. You can't. But maybe that's the whole point.